disasters. Emergency responders know chaos often has its own life cycle, and what happens early, whether the mayhem can be contained or if it spirals into something much greater, is vital to just how much damage will be incurred at the local level. In Indiana, now there is a way for communities to help themselves, to respond in a bigger, more forceful way, to drive down the disaster as fast as possible. Indiana's District Response Task Force Initiative, the engine powering emergency response. Indiana's emergency response system, especially for what are known as Type 3 incidents, where local authorities are in need of assistance, is critically driven by the success of district response task forces. There are 10 of them in the state, comprised of the resources, both equipment and human capital, that can be called upon to help with speed and intensity to contain an unfolding disaster.
No one entity can manage a large incident. We must be able to work together in harmony in order to manage those incidents so they go over smoothly.
District Task Force is different agencies within our district. We come together during an emergency and we go out and we try to help people. We alleviate their suffering and we try to rebuild it so that they can get back to their lives.
It's basically a team made up of 5 core elements: your incident management team, your service and support, EMTs, ambulances, fire protection, and law enforcement.
Instead of depleting all of the equipment or all the people from neighboring area, you take a few people from many different agencies and put them together to apply to the same concept or the same incident working together. That's the idea of a task force. You take leadership, you take those that drive the trucks, you take those boots on the ground, put them all together, a multifunctional, multi-agency response team.
There's supplemental things, technical rescue, which we have stood up on our task force, which can cover everything from structural collapse to water rescue to rope rescue. There's search and rescue, canine search and rescue.
They've trained together and know how to do disaster ops, and that's something that we've pushed a high level and expectation of and degree of training for all the members involved in the District Response Task Force. So these District Response Task Force members are being trained to a higher level to respond to disaster situations.
Did somebody get this victim that you came across because he's missing?
You got one victim trapped, and they won't come out.
The task force, it doesn't even exist until there's an emergency, or until we come together. It's kind of like the National Guard concept, where you can put an army together overnight that wasn't standing there before. As soon as there's a disaster, we've got the framework in place to pull them together and to make that a force that can go out and help people.
That framework makes tremendous resources available to even very small communities. Not only can it save lives and property, it can even save money.
If it's a week-long event, it certainly taxes any one entity financially.
If it's multidisciplinary, that fiscal impact is spread amongst a number of different agencies, so no single agency is really truly impacted to a large degree.
For instance, District 1, they have 5 counties. Well, we don't need 5 mobile command centers. We can buy 1 mobile command center and then they all share that particular resource.
A vital cog in the system are local volunteers.
What happens is you create a task force that's deployable. You still have to take care of your home base. And that's where volunteers can come in, be experienced just like us, no different from us, and protect home while we have the ability to go out and help protect others. So ultimately, it's just one giant team concept.
I've got an ambulance coming through. They got minor injuries. They just need to be looked at and make sure we can get the buildings secured.
The most important thing about the district task forces is that it is not intended to strip one jurisdiction of all their resources. It's supposed to be a cooperative and voluntary effort of multiple jurisdictions. And what that does is it provides information sharing and planning amongst the different jurisdictions. So even when we don't have to use a district task force in a state response, you now have responders from across disciplines and across jurisdictions that normally would not plan with one another or communicate with one another. Now they have relationships, and so they can help neighbor to neighbor.
The rescue task force knows what the workload is.
In a situation where when a community is impacted, there may be resources that are critical to our needs but are in short supply. The ability to plan and forecast what those needs are going to be allows us to use those critical resources to their best advantage It's having a great impact.
For more information on the Indiana District Response Task Force Initiative, call the Indiana Department of Homeland Security Field Services Division at 317-234-7228 or visit us online.